Chintan, thank you for coming in today. You have a remarkable background. You've done a lot, from your early days when you're, at IIT Mumbai to UC Berkeley and University of Oxford to working for different companies like Alliance and Tata and running programs for them to now becoming an investor and running incubators and accelerators and things like that to serving with different nonprofit organizations, tech organizations, one of which is within the IEEE family and so much more. So you're quite a remarkable background, very, very successful. And so thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And it's an honor to get interviewed by a person, a icon, a tech leader, a personality like you. So definitely the honor is mine, Stephen.
My audience is quite diverse. There's actually CEOs in the audience and investors and scientists and what we call practitioners, people who work in the technology field and from a broad spectrum of backgrounds. In fact, anytime I do an analysis of people who are following them, or for example, when I do a post on LinkedIn, it's a quite varied. Typically pretty senior though there's also students in there as well. But a question that always comes up is, and people are always curious, is, you're remarkably successful. You had a great career, continue to expand your career and all the things that you do. And people want to know, what were the inflection points, kind of like the key points in your life that created this wonderful person that you are today?
Oh, yeah. So there are couple of turning points I had. I was an average student and I uh, got admission into a course very nice specialized in fiber optics. When I got admission, I wasn't aware about what it is all about. Actually, I wanted a break and I went for a picnic along with my friend. Just mentioning that, thinking that probably I would be having fun with my friend, and somehow I got admission. So we first understood what fiber optics is, and then afterwards created WOW. It was India's one of the first courses on fiber optics, and I worked hard and stood first throughout the course. So that actually changed my mind. I was my basic qualification is electrical engineering, and then afterwards I did my specialization in fiber optics. So that was, I consider it as a kind of a milestone moment in my life, because it elevated my status from thousands of electrical engineer to couple of hundreds of fiber optic engineers, and that is how I got opportunity to work in varied projects. So that is something I have done. Couple of industry first, be it upgradation of satellite uplinking stations or installing FSO, free space optic links for Department of Defense, to rolling out TDMA, 2G, 3G networks, and couple of other industry first deployments like deployment of SD-WAN. We created funnel before launch of the SD-WAN as a product. Also, I also program manage India's first greenfield smart city project. So Gift City is India's first greenfield smart city project, and I is a consortia lead on it. So that is what my contributions were. Another point I would say is I thought that I'm now a full grown executive and I need not go back and study anything. And one of my seniors actually pushed me and then asked me to pursue MBA. And that is where I had a great relationship with the gentleman. And I went back and said that, are, are we enemies? Why are you pushing me? And why are you? He actually met the director of the institute somewhere, and they had a friendly chit chat. And this guy recommended my name that asked Chintan to come and meet you, and then this is how my journey again as in the next level started with IIT Bombay. I finished my executive MBA, and at that point of time, I wasn't so keen of studying, and that is where the gentleman sees that because the tech is evolving continuously, and you have to keep yourself updated. So that is how I decided that to pursue my first MBA. Then I did my second MBA from UC Berkeley. And that's how the journey continued. And third thing, probably I would say that while looking at what sort of project I have deployed, the kind of impact they have created. Like we have rolled out 3G network in 100 cities in 100 days time. I have program managed the world's largest GSM network rollout in a single geography. That is a world record in itself.
Chintan, I'm going to just interject. You're cutting in and out, and I'm not
Oh, is
sure
it
why. So if you can increase your
volume?
voice volume level,
All
and
right,
then
I'll do that. I
yeah,
guess now it is better.
yeah, that's better. Okay.
Yeah, so we rolled out 100 towns in 100 days, and that is something which is a milestone moment. And when I see these projects which has created, changed the impacting lives of uh, hundreds of people, I mean millions of people, millions of users, then I really feel good about it. And the last stint, if I may say, my engagement with startup ecosystem, that has been a what you call a fulfilling experience for me after having served with Reliance and Tata Group in multiple various roles. My stint with startups has been fulfilling because we are helping them to manage and bring out the innovation. We are helping them to nurture innovation and helping them to start their own business, serve the customers. So that has been another great experience for me. So education, project experience, and startup journey. These are the three milestone moments for myself.
Yeah, Chintan, I mean, just a remarkable program. Again, what I'm finding is when your head turns, or when your voice level goes down, then it cuts out. So,
Oh,
so,
okay, I'll
so
hold it. I'll hold it.
yeah, you have to hold it near your as your head turns. Make sure you hold it to.
Sure, sure, sure. I'll do that.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So quite a remarkable background. We didn't get all of it, but I know there were some of the biggest projects you worked on. What I heard was you started with a background in electrical engineering. You got into fiber optics, and that really opened up a different kind of vista for you. You then got into getting an MBA from IIT in Berkeley as well. And what did you study at Oxford then?
I studied blockchain at State School of Business.
I saw that blockchain at Oxford, and then you indicated you worked on one of the biggest or the biggest greenfield, I think, projects, something like
Smart
that.
City. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So GIFT Smart City is a Gujarat International Finance Tech City is one of the greenfields smart city being set up by Government of India. So Government of India is developing 100 plus smart cities. All of these smart cities are brownfield smart cities. They are existing cities being upgraded as smart city. Gift City is one of the city which is being developed afresh. It's an area which is being developed as a smart city. So that is where the new city is shaping up near Ahmedabad in Gujarat, in the state of Gujarat. So we had bid for this smart city along with the various international partners and worked rigorously, created a differentiator and convinced the customer, which is the government, and uh, uh, and we won the exclusive rights as a ICT partner for that smart city for 15 years. So that is the end result.
Okay, and then so that cities project, but also, there's 100 of these smart cities you mentioned. I thought there was, and I didn't quite get this other major project. Worked on many, but there's another major project. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure. So one of the project I led was rolling out of 3G network in
Uh,
100 cities in 100 days.
three.
So
So building out the 3G network in 100 cities in 100 days. Oh, I see. Okay, that's a pretty big project. So that's in telecom though. So
yeah,
that's going, yeah. And I guess that ties into your fiber optics background then as well.
exactly, because I was program managing. Technical skill is program management of high-end projects and scaling up them. So, be it satellite uplinking stations or rolling out of telecom networks or upgradation of these networks, majority of them, 90% of them is to develop a pilot and then you scale up further and then govern the scale up. So this is how I have been working throughout, and this is what is my expertise.
Ah, I see. So you're rolling out these fiber optic networks, but also satellite upscaling networks. They're moving from pilots or smaller projects. And then once you get those down pat, then you're scaling that many times fold. And that's been your expertise for many, many years. And you were doing that while you were at Reliance and Tata Group, or did that come
Both
afterwards?
of the both of the groups, I have been part of the telecom ventures, and mainly into project management and strategy roles.
I see, for both Reliance and Tata, and they're really famous companies, amongst the most famous in the world today. So that's a considerable lot of work. And then you said you then got into entrepreneurship. So how did that start?
Oh, I have been a guy who has been driven by curiosity and enthusiasm. Born to a scientist, I have always been curious to learn more, do more, and then at the forefront of new knowledge. So while I was a kid, I used to get those international magazines, and my father being a research scientist, so these were the kind of magazine we used to get, and I was brought up in those kind of environment. I was the guy who used to go to my senior and ask for more work and the new projects. So that has been the kind of environment or nature I have been. So I had spent around 7 years in that assignment, and then I decided that been there, done that, because I had hit the roof. So I decided to move on and then venture into some other assignment. Like when I left Reliance Group, I was offered a couple of interesting opportunities, but then I decided to move on because certain other projects which excited me wanted to take on new challenges. Same thing with Tata Group, and then I left and joined a startup as a CTO. And just because I wanted to elevate my knowledge and continue the journey. Because when you are in a certain profile, certain environment for a longer period, your learning stops, and that is something which discomforts me. So I left my corporate job, joined a startup as a CTO, and then started working with startups and invested into them, invested time, invested my savings, and that is how it all started from 2019 onwards.
I see. So now you're driven by curiosity. You want to constantly learn. You want to constantly challenge yourself. And you thought, you know what? I'm going to get into startups. You started off as a CTO of a startup, and did you have an exit from that? And then that's how you started becoming an investor. What's that journey from founding startups to saying, you know what, I'm going to also invest in startups?
Oh, sure. So, yeah, so I exited from that assignment, and then afterwards I was consulting a company which was developing a micro insurance product for the Indian market, and I was a project management consultant for them because they were operating in agile, and their end customer was working in waterfall, and that created a lot of friction because the expectation in both the methodologies are different, and that is where I was looped in. It was a big project, and that is where I got to work with different startups, and then I invested in one of them, and that is how my investor journey started. It was a small investment, but yes, I would in with current, I would say I did not know what number of times you should exit and all, but eventually when I look at it, I invested the amount and then I exited at 12x.
So 12x?
12x of investment, I mean growth. So
Yeah,
12x of return.
right. So now you're also the local founder or Founder Institute in Mumbai. So can you talk about the Founder Institute
Sure.
and then what you try to do with the Founder Institute?
Definitely. So Founder Institute is a US-based company. They are world's largest pre-seed startup accelerator. They are present in 100 plus countries and more than 250 cities. Uh, I am the local director for Founder Institute in Mumbai and the lead other accelerators. As a regional director for India market, I help Founder Institute expand in Indian market. What we do is we run a 14-week accelerator program,
Yeah.
and this program helps entrepreneurs to accelerate their startup journey. Within these 14 weeks, we put these entrepreneurs in a time box environment. So if someone decides to accelerate their startup on their own, then if you are doing it independently, you are not able to accelerate yourself, and that creates a gap between your expectation and the real situation. It happens because not all of us are formally trained on entrepreneurship. We do not have a traction of the industry. We do not have access to best practices and guidance by mentors, and this is where Founder Institute comes in place, and then we help our founders realize their startup dream. By now, Founder Institute has created 6,000 plus alumni companies, and in totality, they have raised seed funds in tune of $1.75 billion plus. So this is what Founder Institute. I am proud to say that I have been recognized as one of the top mentors at the Startup Awards conducted by Startup by Founder Institute. It is an honor for me because around 300 plus directors are there, and I am one of the directors, mentors who got this recognition.
So some in the audience don't have an entrepreneurial background, and you indicated the Founder Institute is sort of like an accelerator program. They're around the world in many, many countries and many, many cities. And you said it was founded originally in the US. Who's the founder of the Founder Institute?
Oh, Edio Ressi is the founder of Founder Institute. Edio Ressi and Jonathan Greenchan is the co-founder. Both of them started in 2009 and then afterwards expanded to other countries.
I see. And then you indicated there's over 6,000, I think,
6,000 startups they have created, the companies who have graduated from their program.
And then within the Founder Institute, you're a star within the Founder Institute as this very capable mentor. You be recognized for your ability to help startups and so on. Now, there's about 1,200 unicorns out there. Unicorns being a startup that eventually through investment and growth and so on is scaled to being a value of at least $1 billion US dollars. Do you have any unicorns within the founder alumni?
Uh, I would say a couple of them are unicorns, yes, and they are being funded by investors. So yes, we have a couple of unicorns, and there
So
are many.
so that's good. Right. And so and you're early too. So when how does a startup say I'm interested in becoming mentored by the Founder Institute? And how does that happen? How do they get into this Founder Institute program?
So what we do is we recruit startups at a pre-seed stage, at a pre-seed stage, and so initially they have some traction, some vision, some validation of their idea, and they do not know how do they put things together and accelerate, and then many of them are yet to incorporate as well. So then we help them, we handhold them through the entire cycle. We help them to validate their vision, help them conduct the customer development, interviews, validate their product, guide them on branding, guide them on revenue model, guide them on HR, IP, patent filing, and then afterwards we help them with go-to-market strategy, scale up, and then in between we also have various interaction with the investor community so that they have a benchmark of understanding an independent view, where do they stand, how they are progressing and all.
So that's the Founder Institute itself then. I'm just sort of getting this into my for the audience. I'm a startup. I'm pre-seed. Pre-seed meaning I may have some my own little money in there, maybe by friends and family, but nobody really formally outside has given me any funding. And so you are able to identify these startups, and they already have probably some kind of proof that they're it's not just an idea. They built something, and we call that a minimal viable product. So maybe they tried it, they got a little bit of traction to say, they got something there, and then
Yeah, I
you'll
would
guide
say
them from there on. Does the
exactly.
Founder Institute invest in them as well?
Founder Institute is coming up with a investor network, which is called Founder Institute Venture Network, and it's about to in beta right now, and it is about to get launched in 2023.
I see. So your the Founder Institute is really a mentorship, guidance, advisory group to help the startups, and then you're building an investor group so that you can have investors invest in these companies.
Yes.
And as you indicated, some of them even haven't incorporated yet, and you'll help them with that whole process of problem solution fit, even doing some of the initial business model canvas stuff, competitive analysis, go to market strategy, refine their minimal viable product, their sort of the products and services they're offering. You'll help them scaling and so on. And do you take equity for that, or what's the trade-off when you help a startup? You take a piece of the company. How's that? How
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
works?
So we take 2.5% equity.
I see.
Uh,
So
Startup.
it's a modest amount of equity. It's a modest
Yeah,
amount.
and the equity is also distributed amongst all stakeholders. So the equity is being shared amongst the staff, the mentors, and the company. So everyone has got a piece of the equity, and that is how we handhold them after the graduation as well. So that is a kind of lifelong relationship. It's not just 14 weeks, but then it's a long hand-holding game, and the relationship continues to grow.
So now you're the local leader of the Founder Institute in Mumbai, and you help them expand in India. And you have extensive experience then working with 57 cohorts. That's like graduating groups of in various countries across the world in the Founder Institute. So now I've got a much better picture of kind of the process and how you've been helping them. And so because you've been doing this for a while now, and you've got 57 cohorts, and you've been recognized for your ability to mentor, some globally recognized because you're a top mentor. You then have experience of what makes for success in a startup founder. So what are some of the attributes that make for success?
So, a successful entrepreneur must have a demonstrable product which has got a clear demand in the market. They should be able to prove that yes, there is a need for this product, there is a buyer in the market. There has to be a clear value proposition that what problem this product solves. Second thing is traction. What sort of traction the product has built as yet? Because there are startups or there are products which are just viable on PowerPoint. So, so that is something that is to be seen. And third point is the team. If at all the founder finds some success, is he capable to build and lead a team? Because investor, mentors, and other stakeholders will not be actively engaging into day-to-day operation of the startup. Is the team capable? If not capable, they have the growth mindset to welcome new team members, work with them, and then grow together. So that is another part to be seen. So this is what I look at when I define the success of the entrepreneur, whether this guy would be successful or not. So time, traction, and team. The three T's I examine.
The three T's: time, traction, and team. And I guess for the startup founder, do you find ones that are, they're 9 to 5 and they got to take weekends off and go on holidays, or do you find the ones that are more successful are really driven? They don't give up, and
Yes, so there are founders who are hard workers. There are founders who are like charge electrons, who are charged but they do not have direction.
right.
And there are founders who are meticulous founders who know what they are doing and they stay committed to what they are doing and hold their ground. So I like the founders who are a bit stubborn, who do not get deviated, because every mentor will give them a different perspective. And then if they start saying yes to everyone, they do not land anywhere. They should be able to hold the ground and say that this is what I am building and why I am building so. So I really like those kind of founders who are having clarity and vision, and then they are staying committed to their vision.
So now, you're founder of the Founder Institute in India, and you've been a mentor to various entrepreneurs and accelerators. You've also been a jury member or a judge of various pitch competitions organized by the state governments in India. So at an official level, where you're a jury member, it's almost like you're on the investment committee. Because I know, because I judge a lot, and you got to make a decision as who's good and who's not, things like
Yes, so
that.
these are, yeah. So I have been invited as a jury member not only by the state governments of the ruling party, but also the state governments which are being ruled by the opposition parties. So I am not aligned to certain people or certain political parties. So I am a person who has been invited by various state governments, five of them specific.
Okay, let's talk about Anantam Ecosystems. I mean, when did you found it, and what's its purpose?
All right. So Anantam means infinity in Sanskrit.
Oh,
And ecosystem is something which is not just one thing, but it is a longer engagement, and then we are bringing multiple expertise with for the ecosystem. So our vision is to work with startup and MSME. We have got 6.6 million MSMEs in India who are waiting for digital transformation. The startup ecosystem is booming such that India has got 10% market share in global unicorn count. So this is on one side there are startups, on the other side there are MSMEs. And with the same skill set and the plan or a strategy for mentoring, etc., we can cater both startups as well as MSME. And this is where I am building Anantam since last 3 years now. We are working with various startups. We are consulting various MSMEs to scale up their product, to revamp their technology delivery models, and we are hand-holding them to enter new markets, be it Indian markets or taking them in neighboring countries. 2023, we plan to be a representative of startups in India. So we also would like to be a local local provider local provider of resources. So we would like to invite Canadian companies to enter India. We would like to invite European companies, European startups to enter Indian market, and that is how we would like to expand. Apart from this, I'm also building a CXO service for startups. So because we have a pool of mentors which can guide and share their expertise, strategic insights with startups. So that is also on the cards. So it's a series of different, I would say, services and consulting parameters. Apart from this, I wish to build a micro VC fund in the next 2 years' time. So this is what is my aspiration.
I see. So, Anatam, which is in Sanskrit, is infinity, ecosystems. I just love that name. You work with the entrepreneurs, you help them go to market strategy, scaling their technologies in domestic and international markets. You help mentor and guide them. You have this ability now to marry them with investors because of the different work that you've done before. And you're also looking to start a micro fund as well, so that you can also do direct investment within these startups. And so that's a natural scaling of the work you've been doing over your career, right? So,
Yes.
and you can definitely help the startup scale, because that's what you've done in your prior careers. It's working on projects, doing pilots, building them, and so on. So I can see this coalescing of all of your expertise coming together. And you have aspirations, as you say, to grow from an investment standpoint. So that's a really interesting journey. And you're looking for international people to come in to partner with you, and so on. Have you approached some of the big companies then, like a Microsoft or Google or NVIDIA and others to partner with, or not yet?
So Google is sponsoring our cohort. So Google Cloud is a sponsor for us in Mumbai. And yes, there are a couple of conversations with angel investors who are willing to join hands and explore Indian market and then be part of the ecosystem in the capacity of a mentor or investor. So these are a couple of people of Indian origin who would like to invest into Indian markets. There are a couple of tech leaders who are excited. Like I have got a couple of interesting opportunities on my table, which I am, uh, excited about. And these are the kind of emerging tech opportunities. the startups, and that is how it's.
I mean, there's an organization called YPO, not the organization themselves. They don't partner in this way, but the members of YPO or the members, which is the Young Presidents Organization, or members of other similar kinds of organizations. Do you work with them or members who belong to these organizations? Because the organizations themselves are nonprofits, so they wouldn't get involved. But uh, and are you yourself a member of one of these organizations?
Yeah, so I am member of a couple of professional organizations. Yes, I am. I just missed the age limit of being a member of YPO recently. So naturally, I do not fit into the age bracket as of now. But I would wish to. I am a member of Project Management Institute. I myself is a PMP certified professional. I have been working as a volunteer technical paper reviewer with Project Management Institute in various conferences. Have worked in IEEE, a member of TEMS. I'm working as a member of IISCC industry, IEEE interaction a team, a business development team is there within TEMS. So I volunteer with them. I'm also part of Bombay Management Association, Open Technology Forum, which is a forum promoting open source technologies in India. And yes, one of the things which I love is I want, I work with Rotary International for blood donation activities. I myself have donated blood for 38 times.
Okay, so let's get into this a little bit more detail then. I mean, you do donate time and you're an active volunteer with PMI. So PMI is pretty famous. It's been around for a long, long time, the Project Management Institute, and they have certifications, and they have a process of how to manage projects and so on, and become very famous, quite large. IEEE is what, 153 years old. And so they've been around through another or older name, which eventually became IEEE. And they're the largest technology-oriented organization in the world today. And you mentioned TEM, so that's a sub-organization within IEEE. So IEEE is really like a family of different organizations. And IEEE is sort of like the umbrella. And underneath that, you have like the IEEE Computer Society, the IEEE Technology Engineering Management Society, and so on. So you're part of PMI, you're part of IEEE, and you're part of IEEE TEMS. So can you talk about what you do? So we know what you do with PMI. What do you do with IEEE and IEEE TEMS? Can you get into more detail on some of the work you do with those two organizations?
Sure. So I have been part of executive council for Bombay Management Bombay section, IEEE Bombay section for 7 years, and so I have volunteered at various conferences which are being organized by the section, and delivered a couple of lectures, did student engagement, etc. for the section. Apart from this, I have also connected the section with various industry leaders. So this is what I did at IEEE Bombay section, and with the IEEE TEMS, I was the chair of local chapter for 2 consecutive terms. I led various webinars, various local events, being a TEMS member, and then afterwards started volunteering with the global business development team, as we used to call it BDC earlier. That is something which is a team of volunteers which help connect TEMS with various industry houses and industry leaders. So this is what I did, and started volunteering in my capacity, and then started contributing in TEMS. So this is third year in that volunteer
So,
assignment.
yeah, so just make sure you bring
Oh,
in
sure,
more.
sure. Yeah. Sorry for that.
It's interesting. IEEE has something called Quantum Week, and you were one of the featured speakers, and you helped organize IEEE Quantum Week, which is one of the largest quantum conferences in the world today. How did you get involved with quantum computing, and what's one quantum? Because I know that's something else you're involved with.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So One Quantum is a think tank which promotes quantum in enterprise, and we help spread the awareness of quantum compute, what quantum compute brings, and help enterprise build use cases. Because in day zero, enterprises do not have capability, visibility of what it needs, what sort of skills are needed to test the quantum compute as a technology. And this is where One Quantum comes in, puts in resources, those sheer quantum expertise to work
Yeah.
with the SMEs of the enterprise, and then together we build use cases and then help them test the benefit of quantum. And that is how One Quantum has been instrumental. So I was president of India region for One Quantum, and then I was actively engaging with various quantum experts within India and outside India, and that is where I understood quantum as a technology. And then I was also wearing hat of an entrepreneur, so that is how I started working with couple of startups in quantum ecosystem, and then with my experience help them. And that is something which I built in the quantum world. Having said that, I came across the opportunity to get contribute as a workshop organizer, a co-leader for entrepreneurship workshop at the QCE. And then uh, I it was a great moment for me to uh, be part of the team, which was led by various industry leaders, learn from them, and then yes, my journey continues as an entrepreneur in the emerging tech. So it was a great opportunity and initiative, uh, a great learning for me as an individual, and I look forward to continue the same momentum.
Yeah, so that's uh, really fascinating that you are also interested in quantum computing. You're a key member of One Quantum, which is this industry to help accelerate quantum computing within your region, but also globally, and that's providing resources and expertise and so on, and also helping entrepreneurs who are into quantum computing. And because you have so much entrepreneurial experience and helping companies scale and so on. So you can help startups in this area, and you're involved with all of that. And then you're involved with the IEEE and their Quantum Week as well, and more. So, and that's at the frontier of where computing and capabilities are going. And because you're actively involved in quantum computing, maybe I can ask you for some predictions. What are your some predictions about quantum computing?
So, predictions about quantum compute would be would have rise of quantum internet. Come 2025, we would see more internet links backbone which would be quantum protected. The rise of metaverse would also get in new use cases, because metaverse is like building a parallel world to the reality. And third thing would be, I would say, the quantum skills. I see that the quantum skills would be in demand. People who are able to do the technical work, as well as who are able to sell those products. So there is a new industry vertical which is being built, and that industry vertical would need multiple skills: be it finance, people who understand quantum business model, people who understand products, can manage products in quantum compute world, and people who can sell, people who can market. So there would be a great new traction which is shaping up starting 2022, which is this year itself. because now we see multiple companies who are expanding and offering their products and services. So I consider 2022 is a foundation year for quantum to take off to newer heights.
So, make sure you keep the mic up there. But what's some of your other predictions about the marketplace and trends? What are some other kinds of technologies that you think people should be looking for, and that will be the next big thing? So you mentioned quantum computing. Now it's more acceptance of it. You're talking about putting quantum on the cloud or providing some kind of access to quantum services, because not many people are going to have a quantum computer in their premises. But if you can share the capability of quantum computing through the cloud, then that's a way of access. And so you're helping bridge that gap. But what are some of the other areas that you think are going to be change makers for society and for business and governments and so on?
So future of food, that is something, the food is being redefined again. So plant-based foods, proteins, meats, etc. would be on the rise. That is the one thing I'm looking forward to. Another one is future of mobility, the rise of sustainable ecosystem around mobility. So rise of electric vehicles, uh, rise of renewable energy plants, be it wind farms, be it solar farms. Governments are moving towards renewable energy sources. So this is another shift. And the last one would be the automated manufacturing. So more and more people are getting into the automation, the digitization, the real digital transformation of industry. So these are the trends I would look for. Apart from this, yes, in the very primitive stage, uh, sorry, various use cases of blockchain, like CBDC, would be talk of the town, because many governments across the world are likely to roll out government-owned, promoted central bank digital currencies, and that would actually be a parallel to the current crypto uh, ecosystem. So, I'm really looking forward to these developments apart from quantum.
So that's again fascinating, and areas that people can get engaged in as well. And we're down to the final minutes of our interview, and just for the audience, just to give them additional background, you sit on a lot of advisory boards, investment committees for multiple venture capital funds. You collaborate with angel investors and syndicates. So we talked a little bit about that as well. You should look at Chintan's background in LinkedIn. He's got a great history of success and many ventures and so forth. But now we're down to our last, one or two questions. Are there any areas that we missed that you want to talk about?
Uh, I guess we covered it all, and I'm we covered all aspects of my career as well as my experience. Uh, Definitely, you covered the entire life journey. We started with what are the turning points of my life and how my journey, how I have been here, what is the passion which led me to here, and how I am progressing, in what direction I'm progressing, and what I'm up to. So we have covered it all, and I would like to ask one question to you. What makes Stephen Ibaraki jump out of the bed every morning? Because I really find your enthusiasm, your energy, which is something electrifying. And I would also, uh, I see you as one of the role models that people see that, oh, I would like to be kind of this guy, this. So you are a role model, and you have been active into these many communities as well as professionally as well active. So what is that secret sauce? If you can get this answer as a one of the written gift for me for this interview.
That's a great question. You're asking what kind of is my passion. It's curiosity. I like to learn. So I learned a lot from talking to you today. I think one of the big goals of people is to grow, to have stretch boundaries, and to continue to learn. I think another one is to do things with commitment and passion and perseverance. I think that one should do things with impact. So make sure that when you interface or talk to people or you work on a project, you think to yourself, am I adding value? Is it a win for whatever project or whatever you're working on? And some people call that an omni-win. So you win, but they win as well. So I'm always mindful to make sure there's value delivery, and that ultimately it's for the benefit of humanity and Earth ecosystem. So I always have that in the back of my mind. Is this something that's going to improve humanity in some way? And all, but not just people or humanity, but Earth ecosystems, which is plant life and animals and so on. So, and in that way, that's what makes me excited every day. And especially, you're a star. So talking to you, Chintan, and mining your expertise and so on. So those are the things that make it really exciting for me every day to get up and look forward to doing things and working at the frontier, so that you always are learning and stretching, right? So I think that's really important. But I want to spend just a few seconds just sort of summarizing what we talked about, and then I'll ask you one more question. So I know you got 22 years of experience in telecom and ICT, and you're an alumni of IIT Mumbai, UC Berkeley, University of Oxford, and you talked about blockchain with Oxford and so on. You worked as an entrepreneur, and doing so, you have this electrical engineering background, then you got into fiber optics, and that's where the telecom aspect and running big projects like smart city projects and satellite links and the rollout of 3G, as you mentioned. A lot of your career with Reliance and the Tata Group, as you mentioned, managing global projects. You got into entrepreneurship. You became the CTO of a startup, and then investing in startups, and then being the local leader of the Founder Institute Mumbai. We're helping Founder Institute expand in India, which is this global program for mentorship and acceleration of startups. You worked with 57 cohorts, various countries. You've been a mentor to various entrepreneurs and accelerators. You've been a judge of many accelerator and startup programs. You're a founder of Anantam Ecosystems, which continues that journey of mentorship and helping with small and medium enterprises, but also entrepreneurs as they go to market strategy and scaling their technology in both domestic and international markets. And you're interested in working with international partners as well. And you do have people like Google as a partner, and you're working towards a micro fund so you can do investments. Whereas up to now, you've been connecting people with investors and investor syndicates and so on. You're an active volunteer with the Project Management Institute, been doing that for a long time. Within IEEE, with programs within your region, with IEEE TAMS, doing business development, doing conferences and so forth, with the Bombay Management Association, with the Open Tech Foundation, the Rotary International, also with One Quantum. So you're actually actively looking at helping to scale quantum computing amongst small businesses through the cloud, and being an active participant and bringing industry people in to academics together, because you realize quantum computing is going to be something that's really important for the future. And then you're looking at other areas like this, food security and farming and automation and so forth, and proliferating that. And then, of course, because of all of this work, you sit on advisory boards, investment committees, multiple venture capital funds, and you collaborate with angel investors and syndicates. And then you're curious too, because you asked me a question at the So you're curious. And I know because I work with you. You execute. You're one of the most profound execution leaders in the world. In other words, when leaders encounter a project, you don't let it sit. You actually work to get it done, and you're quite notable in that way. And I work with a lot of people globally. You're one of the best executors I know of just getting things done and taking responsibility and seeing it through. So my last question to you then is, what are your recommendations to the audience with that marvelous background you have?
My recommendation for the audience is live your dream. So if you have a dream, chase it and then stay committed to your vision. Listen to your heart, listen to your mind, have a mentor. The world is changing. There are people who are ahead of us. Having a mentor always helps to maintain an orientation of our direction. So I advise everyone to have a mentor, and then at times reverse mentoring also helps. So mentor need not be a elder person in your life. A mentor can be a younger person as well. Like in quantum, couple of experts whom I work with are just PhDs who are about to touch their 30 years of age, but they are experts. And then I give them respect uh, as one of my mentor in the specific technology. So this is my recommendation that live your dream.
So thank you, Chintan, for coming in. You shared so much wisdom, so much experience. You definitely are mentoring the world with all of your experience. And it's such a pleasure for you to share so much with our audience. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.